Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to another week of Ballers Across the Pond. We have just seen week 12 in the NFL go through. We've got some interesting news, some interesting developments. You've got myself, Will Joestar, and then you've got P Dubs as well. Pete, man, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Week 12 was good. Another exciting week as we head towards the end of the season, the twilight zone of the season. Just 5 or 6 more games left to go for most teams. I think by the time we get to week 15, there probably will be no more buys and it will just be the last 3 games remaining. So let's get going.
Yeah, no, this is why I like the NFL. Every game matters. So teams that are sort of like right on the edge are really going to try hard to sort of squeeze through what they can in this last final stretch. But yeah, man, we've got some like interesting sort of developments that have happened in the league right now. It's a interesting situation, especially right now. I mean, probably in the next few weeks, we're gonna see people losing their job. It's a part of the NFL. And it's not even Black Monday yet. So now it's not Black Monday yet. Some of the owners are getting a bit impatient. I think next week we'll see potentially a few more exits as well. But right off the bat, let's just sort of head into it now. Um, Frank Reich, you know, um, been relieved of his duties, and not just him. It's pretty much like the base of that sort of coaching staff is gone. So you've got Josh McCown, who for a lot of people, this guy was in the mix for the Texans job while still in the league. So it was he didn't quite get that, but he's got his coaching experience. And
Hmm.
Deuce Staley, sorry, yeah, Deuce. So he was actually sort
Yeah.
of running back coach for my Eagles, and he's highly respected in Philadelphia. In terms of what he's been able to produce, and if you look at the backs that we've had
Highly
recently,
respected amongst the league as well.
yeah, and if you look at the backs that we've put out recently, you know, he's really been consistent in terms of developing guys, and then they've moved on to other teams to do good things. So for me personally as an Eagles fan, I feel as though they had a really good unit there. They had a guy that could coach a team, although the thing with Frank Reich is saying he works better with an experienced QB. Like he knows how to coach a team. He's respected around the league. Josh McCown is an up and coming guy. Really good at helping young QBs develop. So for me, it's a case of I don't quite understand this. You know, um, I understand performance, like the team has under delivered, you know, but
Hmm.
part of me feels as though perhaps this is more of like megalomaniac millionaire sort of saying, I want it now, I want to win games now. All my other friends have winning seasons, and we barely have like 3 wins this year. So it's not a good look personally. And if he thinks this is going to help his coaching hunt, who's going to want to take this job? College and pros. And if you do take the job, you're going to have certain language in your contract to make sure that if he decides to get rid of you, you're taking the whole bag. You know, so he's shot himself in the foot. Really, Frank Reich, like I said, he 11 games in. What's going on? Like,
Yeah, I mean, like all year. I mean, I could tell that Frank Reich all year um was how do you put it? He looked stressed. He looked like he got old very quickly and
mm,
needed a break. It could talk quite frankly, like the way the year hasn't gone well, he needed a break. Now, my breakdown is this. First of all, it starts with that owner, David Tepper. Um, from his background, the little that I've heard or come across around news circles is like he's kind of like a very impatient man in the sense that he doesn't have patience and he wants results ASAP. He doesn't understand that in the NFL, being an owner, is a process in terms of building your team into
mm,
a consistent long winner. There's gonna be bad football, there's gonna be bad teams, there's gonna be bad moments before you get to having a consistent winning football team. And then one thing he doesn't understand is the world of football is not like business and finance, where you invest and you want to see it, and sometimes you can see a return on investment very quickly. In a world of football, it's not linear. There's ups and downs. You could have a bad season this year. I mean, in NFL, teams go from worst to first more than any other sport. You could see a team that finished 3-13 this year. Next year they could be 13-3. And that's
Absolutely.
because things change very fast and very quickly within the NFL circle. So he needs extra some patience because he's 5-7 coaches within a space of um 2.5 or I think 3 years that he owned the team, which
Mm.
is a lot of coaches you've hired and fired. And there's a lot of money that you're burning because Frank Reich is now due $30 million over the next 4 years or however left on his contract. So then the thing is, the coach's contract doesn't count against the salary cap because, and then when you fire a coach, the payout you have to pay out either you pay in one go or you pay every year. So 30 million times four, Frank Reich's got a good amount of money coming in because he said this is the
Yeah.
end of his NFL journey. He knows he's off to have a great retirement because
Bro, he's
there's a
there chilling.
boatload
I,
of
I think I
cash.
think he's gonna kick up his feet. He's gonna become a NFL consultant. He's gonna give advice here and there. But so far, man, he can just relax. He's not in a rush. He's not looking. He hasn't really got anything to sort of like prove to people his worth in the league. He's highly respected. So I don't think he's worrying about that. If anything, this might have been like a saving grace because now he can just sort of move on and sort of decide what he wants to do heading forward. I just feel sorry for the Carolina fans that are going to have to, because whoever inherits
I mean,
this is going to inherit the same team.
yeah,
Bryce Young is going to have to learn a new offense. So where's the progression? Like, you know what I mean? At least keep the OC. Keep the guy who's whispering in his ear. Josh McCown would have been that guy. But instead, you're going to flip things completely. It's a new guy, new approach. So he's back to square one, and the team's not that good right now. So there's a lot of things. Usually, if you want to get a hot shot coach, who's going to want to walk into this situation? You know?
I mean, the way I see it is like Bryce Young now is very on the edge of his NFL career, not panning out as he wanted. And the critical point is next season. Who's gonna be the new head coach? And does that head coach? They don't have a first round pick next year. That's what Chicago has, which is gonna be the number one overall pick this year. So when you look at it, the way I see it, Bryce Young is still gonna be their quarterback for next year, and Bryce Young basically have 2024 to bounce back and be much better as a young quarterback.
Yeah, one thing I'll say about
Now,
Bryce.
the situation is that I feel like Frank Reich, I think the rumors was that he wanted CJ Stroud. He didn't want Bryce Young
Yep.
at number two. And then they were going to trade up to number two with the Texans.
Mm,
But then the Texans decided that they were going to move up to number one to get Bryce Young.
mm,
So then the Panthers was like, okay, then let's go all the way up to one then, because since the Texans don't want to trade with us anymore because they want to take a quarterback. But when you went into number one, you don't take Bryce Young. Take the guy that your head coach wanted for his system.
mm.
They should have taken CJ because that's who Frank Reich wanted. But Josh McCown went to bat for Bryce Young,
Yep.
and the owner liked Josh McCown's pitch better
Yep.
and decided, okay, let's take Bryce Young. That's the decision.
Josh
So you
McCown
didn't
has that
give the
silver
head
tongue,
coach,
man. He can
you didn't give
sway
the
the
head coach the
room.
callback you wanted. Now, for people that will watch our podcast on YouTube, I might be factually incorrect, but that's the gist of the rumors that I've heard. You might be able to comment in the comments and point us in the right direction, or let me know what the actual details were. But the fact is that Frank Reich wanted CJ Stroud instead. So when you go up to number one, don't bow to the national pressure and everything saying take Bryce Young. Because I think CJ probably would have done better
Mm.
with his roster. They might have one or two more wins. They might not have as many wins as the Texans because the Texans has a better roster than the Panthers. So and this is the thing when I talk about organizations, right? When I look at it, I don't even think they needed to go all the way up to number one to go get a quarterback in last year's draft. The reason why I say that is because Caleb Williams is coming out, and according to experts, he's much better than Bryce Young and CJ Stroud. That's what the
Oh,
reviews are saying.
yeah, I
Because
mean, I wouldn't say CJ from, well, seeing how CJ's panning out right now, I wouldn't say CJ. I think CJ is more NFL ready, but the ceiling for Caleb is huge.
you're calling Caleb generational until his recent games whereby the team lost, I think, 4 in a row or something,
Mm.
and that sort of tailored off his hype a little bit. But what I'm trying to say is that they traded so much capital from where they were to get to number one that if Rice don't pan out in the first year, it sets the team back a lot.
Mm.
Because going into next year, you don't have the draft picks to be able to fix your offensive line to give Bryce Young a chance, or even draft a number one wide receiver in a draft. And this upcoming draft, 2024 draft,
It's a
is loaded with
loaded.
receivers. There's almost 15 to 16 guys that have first round grades on them. And we all know they're not going to go in the first round, so someone in the second round is going to get first round
Second,
talent.
third, yep, you might be able to get some good players, and
So, I mean, the Panthers put themselves in a hell of a mess. And whoever becomes the new head coach or GM, if they decide to fire the GM also at the end of the season, whoever the new front office personnel is, a combination or whatever, they have a tough task to do because you hardly have any draft picks. I don't think their salary cap situation is any better. And besides, you still find it hard to attract free agents to a team like the Panthers.
let this be a cautionary tale to a lot of young players coming out. You might be that first overall pick, but that might be the end of your story, considering the
See,
situation you go to. Don't always pick. You should pray. If a person asks you, where do you want to go? Just be like, I want to go to a good situation. That should be the answer, because then you're letting these teams know that, hey, listen, I'm aware of how these things work. You know how these things work. If the situation's not good, regardless, I'm just gonna have to work my way out of this muck. And only a few guys can kind of play above that. If you look at Trevor Lawrence and what he was able to achieve in Jacksonville amid all the chaos, he was able to elevate beyond that and play above it. Bryce Young has talent. He can play, but he needs help. He needs support. And damn well, like, he needs a strength and conditioning coach, because you can say, oh, he's got a different frame. I'm not really much of a physical guy, but I see a guy that takes his physical training seriously. Remember what I said about Zach Wilson when he was huffing and puffing in his pro day, looked kind of soft. Kyler Murray's not like that. Kyler Murray's shorter than Bryce, but guess what? He looks strong. You know, he takes
when it
his
comes to
he takes his conditioning seriously. Bryce literally, like, he looks pretty frail. Like, he looks he looks like he get blown over like a kid playing in the NFL. Kyler Murray's shorter, but he doesn't look like a kid. He looks like a solidly, compactly built person, because he trains and understands, I need to protect myself. I need to make sure I'm in tip top shape. So your conditioning is important. And if Bryce wants to play in this league for longer, he's going to have to take that seriously, man. He needs to put on maybe 15, 20 pounds. It's the soft season. No joke.
I think probably he would do that, but it depends. Would he be sacrificing athleticism? But anyway, he wasn't a fast guy; he's just a mobile guy
Yeah.
anyway. So we put it that way. But at the end of the day, to sum this up, what I would say is, like I said, it now makes it a bit difficult because whoever comes in
Mm.
with the Panthers, it makes it a very difficult rebuild, and this doesn't even look like it's gonna be like a quick rebuild.
It's
Because you
going to
can't
take,
rebuild this in over a year.
it's a
So whoever
reset.
takes over has to ensure that in your interview, let David Tepper know it's gonna take some time. So I'm not gonna come in here and try and fire me within your first year. If that's the case, then I'm not coming. Any head coach going to the Panthers right now
Mm.
needs to guarantee that you get minimum 2 years.
I would guarantee for 2 years to take this job. So you cannot fire me. It's in the contract. You cannot fire me in year two. I'd probably say, look, you can fire me after the third season.
Nah, but that'll be pushed. I think he'll. I think
You
any
gotta you
any
gotta give me two
they'll
seasons
give you at
minimum.
least 2 seasons. He will actually. I think at this point, any agent who represents a potential NFL head coaching candidate that will be considering the Panthers job will need to sit with David Tepper and said, "I need minimum 2 years." So after, no matter what happens in the first year, you're not gonna fire me. You're gonna give me another season to try and fix it because whoever the Panthers are most likely gonna end up with an amount of raw pick, which they'll give to Chicago for Chicago to go and draft Caleb Williams.
Whew,
You know,
mistake. Mistake.
so listen, stop saying that. I need them to take Caleb Williams, man. You don't understand that. So yeah. So that's that. I mean, the way I see it, that's that's basically how it is. I was just trying to check out the projected salary cap space for
Mm.
2024. Carolina Panthers, uh so they do have some cap room. They have about 35 million dollars. Really can do something. It's not the best, it's not among the top, but at least it's something. They can get some impact players. But would they even want to come there because they're starting from the bottom?
If they're gonna get their money, I don't think they'll be too concerned. All right. So moving it on, just to sort of glaze over some of the other news in the league. This is more like for my Eagles. I'm just gonna throw it in there. Shaquille Leonard, or also known as Darius Leonard, is going for his official visit with the Eagles this week. So if I know Howie, he's going to try and seal the deal, and it's a good situation, contending team, good culture. He can try and compete. He's not going to be asked to carry the load. Linebacking, he's not going to have to necessarily compete in terms of the depth chart at linebacker. He's someone that can come in and start pretty much right off the bat once he gets up to speed with the offense, and we have the space to put him into that. So yeah, hopefully by the start of
Do you
next
know
week
what?
or the end of next week, Shaquille Leonard will be an Eagle.
No, you know
Leonard.
what? He can't keep doing this. Nah, he can't. At this point in time, Roger Goodell needs to do what Adam Silver does in the NBA.
Mm.
Look after the league and stop some of these moves. There should be a new mandatory law. When the season starts,
Roseman rules.
Harry Roseman is not allowed to trade or add any impact players. He already has a good hot roster.
Yeah.
Unless there's a significant injury.
The thing
Okay?
with
He can't
Howie,
do that.
the thing
Like,
with
why is he stacking up
the
so many
thing with
chips?
him
Like,
is he's what he's
are you not
doing.
rich enough? Don't you have
No,
enough
but
players? Like, come on.
here's how he looks at it. By acquiring these players, win or lose this season. Let's say we're just short of the Super Bowl, or we get bumped late in the playoffs. All right. Going into next season, you have these guys on your roster. You have assets, and it's usually like a 1 year deal, like a solid deal. So he can move off guys, he can trade guys away, give them to other teams. But this basically allows him to go into. He's making his job a lot easier heading into next season. Some guys aren't going to be there. Julio's not going to be there next year. All right, but having Shaquille Leonard takes some pressure off because now you're not having to look for like a linebacker or an extra backer. DeAndre Swift, is he going to be there next year? Who knows? You know, Kenneth Gainwell, I think, is in his third year now, heading into his third season now, or no,
Uh-huh.
second season. So we're going to use him for another maybe one more year. He's going to ask to get paid and he's gone. Draft another back. So that's how it goes. So this is his style. Regardless of how the team performs, he's setting himself up for next season as well. Because we already head into the training camp with all of these assets on the team, and then we can see where we're at. So I think that's a little bit of the method to the madness. Injury news, fairly short, fairly quick. The main noticeable one is Jonathan Taylor. Um, Thumb injury. He's actually having an operation on that, and that will keep him out for the next couple of weeks. That being said, I don't think it'll be that big of a deal because Zach Moss is playing really good at running back, you know, and I think he'll be able to hold that team together and build up his resume. The Colts can't pay both, and I think Zach Moss is probably going to walk at the end of the year. Perfect, because Howie Roseman's waiting to pick him up. You know it's coming. Howie Roseman's waiting to pick him up. DeAndre Swift, thank you for your help, your assets. Here's your God willing. Here's your Super Bowl ring. You can now go. Zach Moss, you want to come in now? 4 years younger. Come on inside. You know what I mean? But yeah, no. I think that's majority of the news. Pete, is there anything you think we may have missed?
No, I think that's all right.
Yeah. Okay. Cool, perfect. So we're gonna head straight into like analysis for the games. We're actually gonna start off looking at the big showdown, which is the game I watched. It was my Eagles versus the Buffalo Bills, the surging Buffalo Bills, who've kind of found their groove. You know, they've been like in a bit of a rut this season, but they've worked their way back up. And I think this was a really competitive game and kind of shows when the Bills are firing off on all cylinders, they can be a threat. So I'd probably say the Bills right now are one of the most dangerous 6-6 teams because if they turn it on, they can go toe to toe with the best teams in the league. Um, but yeah, no, this was a really entertaining game, back and forth, late game heroics, an amazing kick to seal the win for my Eagles. At the
I
end,
think that took you to overtime, and
yeah,
Jalen Hurts was the winner.
yep, yep, yeah. No, I mean if you look at Jalen Hurts, he did have the interception, but 3 touchdowns, 200 yards. Like this guy, I mean, this notion that he's a runner one and only first, and then he's a passer. I think that's changed now. I think he's shown that he can pass the ball deep, medium. He can make all the throws he needs to make. You know, DeAndre Swift, Jalen Hurts split the ground really well. 80 yards for DeAndre Swift. Jalen Hurts of 65. And then if you look through the air, Devontae Smith was able to eat with 106 yards, touchdown. AJ Brown didn't have like a big game in terms of yardage, but he got his TD. But yeah, yeah, no, I mean, even with our tight end out, Dallas Goddard, you know, we were still productive. So I think you were saying that I think it was Dilly or yourself. You were saying Dallas Goddard's probably gone at the end of the year, heading into next season. And I think you might be right. If we do really well on this stretch and go the whole way, he's being moved. He's being moved for sure. But yeah, yeah, no, I think this was solid game, and there's this term going around, championship DNA, where a team is able to. Don't get me wrong, some wins, especially the Kansas City, if Valdez Scantling catches that ball, they walk out there with the win. That is what it is. But we're a team that sort of always stays in the fight, and we find a way to win. Um, this was a perfect example of that. You know, we equalized with the field goal, and then heading into overtime, they got the ball back, and we were able to hold them off, and then go down the field and score. So hopefully more of this. This is only going to build character for my Eagles. With regards to the Bills, I mean, they can take comfort in this loss. Like they played well, and it's good to see that they were able to sort of move the ball on the ground. If they can play like this the remainder of the season, I think they'll be able to sneak in. But they've got a big hole to sort of get out from currently at 6-6. What are your thoughts, Pete? Anything to say about this game or?
Sorry. Don't have much to say about this game.
Mm.
My only thing is Josh Allen is now 0-5 in overtime games. And something's gonna change in terms of that record. And the Eagles did what they needed to do to get back into the game. So full props to your Eagles.
Mm.
And in a tough stretch of the schedule for your Eagles, I saw a graphic the other day that you guys have won all the games that people thought was gonna give you guys problems. It goes to show how good your team is. You know, and your team actually beat winning programs, unlike the Cowgirls.
Yeah.
You know, so we'll see how it goes, how it plays when the season goes. But great win for the Eagles. And Jalen Hurts really impressed me with his touchdown late in the ball game with a clutch to get that for his team. So yeah, good win for your Eagles.
Yeah, no, next game we're gonna head on to. We are going to be looking at the Jaguars versus Texans.
Mm-hmm.
This was a pretty interesting game. Only because I think everyone wants to see like the CJ Stroud show to see how he's gonna cope. You know, Trevor Lawrence went the year beforehand. This was a competitive game. You know, the Texans have definitely gotten over the hump and they're showing production, but the Giants did walk out here with a win. But if you look at CJ's performance, 304 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. You know, that's a starting quarterback right there. You know, I think
Mm-hmm.
he delivered as far as what you'd expect. He was able to move the ball around. Tank Dell didn't make a lot of noise, but if you look, he spread the ball around. And this is without a lot of production on the ground. This was like an aerial assault that sort of kept the game up, and obviously the Texans defense played really well, sort of down the stretch too, which kept it in the 20s. The Jags, on the other hand, Trevor Lawrence 364 yards, TD and INT. Um, it was fairly balanced from their side too. So I think this was a neutral game. Like I think both these teams were like fairly evenly matched, which speaks volumes for the quarterback play. And both defenses were able to make some plays, but the Jags obviously came up with the win. What are your thoughts on this game?
Um, Interesting game.
Mm,
Um, and I thought we all thought that the Texans was gonna find a way to pull it out and win later, and they nearly did.
yep.
So kudos to the Jaguars for keeping their self composure level headed again this win, because this win was vital, very, very vital, because I think um um this win was very, very, very vital for the Jaguars because they extend their lead within the division.
Mm,
And also at the same time, it gives them a bit of a cushion because the Texans were closing in. And it quietens the hype a little bit for CJ Stroud, even though he is the offensive rookie of the year at this point.
yep.
I saw someone said that is he going to win it? I'm like, win it. His name's already etched in it. The red
Yep.
write his name on offensive rookie of the year.
The way
Case
he's been
closed.
playing, crazy. Lights out. That's what you want to see from your second overall pick in the NFL draft. No, spot on. Perfect. Right. So, the third game we're gonna look at over here really is it's gonna be the, let me just get it up on here. Where is it now? Chargers Ravens. Like this one, not really too much to talk about, but it was just sort of like we want to see Lamar Jackson, and how he's able to perform week in and week out. Serviceable, 177 yards, one touchdown, sprinkled the ball around. I think everyone was able to eat. With Mark Andrews gone, this was a good opportunity to see against a consistent defense how he'd be able to cope. You know what I mean? Like I think a lot of
Mhm.
people were like, how does he cope without his traditional weapon in Mark Andrews? And he was able to deliver. I think the LA Chargers right now are sort of reeling. They've completely underperformed. You thought like last year was an underachievement. This year, 100%. I think they have a new coach next year. Because they've completely sort of wet the bed. Um, versus their opponents. Like they've got a really good defense. They've got playmakers on the offensive side of the ball, and they have a franchise QB, but they can't seem to put games together. So I think this is definitely going to lead to like a coaching change next year. Um, it's going to be a very desirable job because this team has a lot of things in place already. So it's one of those things where finding a new head coach won't be difficult. Won't be difficult for the Chargers. They'll probably have like a lot of suitors, definitely more suitors than the Carolina Panthers. Um, yeah. What are your thoughts on the game, Pete?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I think we all know that Staley's gone probably by the end of the year. And then you have to look towards maybe hiring an offensive minded head coach. Look at coming with a little bit of aggressiveness and help the team to try and overall right the ship because they are a very talented football team. They just don't have the right head coach or the right leadership to help them put together results. Usually, the last couple of years during Philip Rivers' time with the Chargers, it was mostly that they'll make the playoffs and they'll falter. But now they're not even sniffing the playoffs. And the AFC West, at some point, will become a tough division. Because if the Broncos are righting their wrongs and um, all of that. So, um, the Broncos are righting their wrongs again up there. You have the Chiefs. So Pat Mahomes, Russell Wilson. Um, so like the two main callback figures in that division. So yeah, tough, 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 tough call.
Tough times. Cool. Yep. And then this is more of like a a meme selection over here, but this is more like to gloat at the Patriots versus the Giants. This was like a 7-10. So this game was like doo doo. Like it just wasn't good at all. Both sides played astoundingly bad football. But I think in losing to the Giants, Robert Kraft is obviously building up like a list like this is unacceptable. You're not gonna compete at this point. The ground is so low, like you're not gonna compete for anything right now. Their best ambition is trying to finish at 500. That's gonna be their target next season, being 500 team. Forget making the playoffs. This team is a team that's completely collapsed. Um, I mean, how can you let Tommy DeVito go for
Same
191,
difference.
say one touchdown? This guy is going back to his mom's house like, yeah, mom, did you see what I did? Did you see what I did with his half a million a year? So this is unacceptable. Saquon Barkley is going to be gone. Enjoy him now while you can. Giants, that's the last time you're going to see him. That's all, folks. I don't think he's going to be there next year. So ride him out while you can, and I hope you've got like contingency plans. You know, Zach Moss is going to be available, so maybe you guys make a play. Um, but yeah, no, the Patriots right now are a mess. Two interceptions from Mac Jones, 89 yards on the ground. Bailey Zappi came in, had enough one interception of his own, 54 yards. You've got bereft of talent on offense. Ramondre Stevenson, 98, but everyone else, Devontae Parker, Juju Smith, like none of your receivers getting over 50. It's all over the place over there. So it's definitely not your old New England Patriots, that's for sure.
I agree. I agree. And at this point, we'll see come end of. So for me, with the Patriots, my key thing is this: losing the game 10-7 to the Giants.
Mm.
That's no more. That's not Bill Belichick. If Bill Belichick at his worst will not have that typical score line. And ironically, this is his worst
Yeah.
sort of like group. So I don't know if it's a case of changing his coaching methods because a lot of these new age kids might not get banter, might not get how Belichick coaches. So that could be one of the things that will be looked at the off season. But losing to Tommy DeVito or is an embarrassment, and that shouldn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an offensive issue because I think his defense is still able to play and do its job. They play as an entire unit, but the offense just can't get anything done whatsoever. So it's like an uphill struggle the whole time. If
Mm-hmm.
you can't score more than 10 points to win an NFL game, then you might as well have just said, you know what, let's just play defense the whole game and just not. At this point, you're better off like just don't put the offense off the field. On the field. Just say, all right, automatic 3 and out, get the defense back on because that's basically what it was. Both sides, both teams here, and they
Yeah.
still managed to lose. So yeah, no, it's been like a long drop. But yeah, no, I mean, Pete, are there any other games you sort of want to head through from this week
Um.
that are gone that have like interesting touch points or whatnot? Maybe Chiefs Raiders as well.
Not really, because I
Yeah,
love some of the other wins were like standard and routine.
yeah,
The Colts had a nice win over the Buccaneers, which means that the Colts are competing and they're still trying to win football games despite losing their face of the franchise, Anthony Richardson.
yeah,
So it was a nice victory for them, for the Colts over the Bucks, and the Bucks have seemed to be faltering.
yeah.
Um, so
I wonder
so
where
yes,
Gardner Minshew is going to be next year. He's just a wandering QB, like
do you know what?
250 yards.
Do you know what?
It's not
Drop Jalen
bad.
Hurts and play Misha for a whole season. Just let him go. Like I don't understand this thing. Like you're the only one in your own world that rate Minshew with some sort of highness. Like if I was to ask you to put together top 32 NFL quarterbacks, Minshew probably be mid, like 15 or something.
Probably the 20s. I'd probably say. Yeah, I'd take him over Baker Mayfield right now.
Oh, and the final thing before we go to next week is um Bears Vikings.
Oh yes,
That was a horrible game. Yesterday on Monday night, which is early this morning for
yeah.
us across the pond. Watching that game, you see, we Cardinals fans tried to warn Vikings fans here that this is a possibility. This is Josh Dobbs. The first 2-3 games, he is outstanding. And it seems like the more he knows the offense and stuff, he falters. Four iron teams now. Granted, some of them were picked. Tipped passes that were intercepted, but you still threw them because they were tipped in the first place because they were either high or low.
Mm.
So that's what sort of like happens. And Justin Fields nearly gave the ball away with some ball security issues in this game. Um, so I just do hope the best, even if they win games, Justin Fields don't chance they can take a certain Williams and a certain future Hall of Famer son can drop to my Cardinals.
Here's the thing, man. Justin Fields, like I was saying it all year long. Like I think even the Bears fans are starting to understand that this is not like the offensive coordinator, the quarterback coach. They failed Justin Fields. And to be honest, it's not necessarily their fault. You've got to look at like the GM. You've got to look at Matt Eberflus. Like you've got to understand that this isn't it. Justin Fields was telling you early on in the season, like, hey, listen, I can't. I'm not being allowed to. How can you play better in your rookie season, you know, than you did this year? This isn't like a
Mm,
case of like he looked amazing. Like he had those flashes. You saw why he's a franchise guy. You know, Justin Fields is can be a great QB. He just needs a reset. You know, and there I'm sure there'll be teams lining up to acquire him. Because if I'm looking at Justin Fields right now, and like I said, I always compare QBs by um I compare classes. I don't compare like him individually in a vacuum that his QB draft. I say how would he compare to 2019 2020's quarterback draft, you know? Right
yeah,
now, I'd probably say if he was in the same draft as Caleb, I'd probably say they're pretty much very close to one another. You know, Caleb Williams is obviously going to get a nod, but I'd probably say they're right there, neck and neck. You know, Justin Fields should have never dropped that low to Chicago. Some teams thought they were clever. The Jets thought they were clever. Ask the Jets now if they could acquire Justin Fields. 100% they go get it. 100% they go do it right now.
mm,
You know, like if you could tell them, look, give us Zach Wilson. That's not going to happen. But give us Zach Wilson. We'll give you Justin Fields. Guaranteed they take that trade in a heartbeat. You know,
yeah,
so this is what it is right now. I think he's happy because he's not going to be there. The Bears are going to be the same old Bears because they're going to draft Caleb, and he's going to end up in the same situation. He's going to look the same as Justin Fields, and at that point, the Bears will run out of ammunition. Then they'll have to like admit that, hey, maybe it's us. But congratulations, you have the defense you always wanted. Well done. Still not winning games because you need to score points. Defense wins championships, but you need an offense that can at least score points. You're actually not winning
absolutely,
anything. You're not winning anything.
absolutely,
So that's how it goes. And Minnesota, yeah, Joshua Dobbs, I hope you still got your NASA CV ready, bro. You don't worry. You'll definitely be an astronaut. But yeah, no, that's the sort of roundup for the main week. 13 games. Sorry, week 12 games. Heading into next week, week 13.
yep,
What are some of the games you have highlighted? And I know the big one. This could be like a preview divisional championship game right there. My Eagles versus the 49ers. This is like a huge game. Huge game because both these teams are right there neck and neck. They're probably going to be in the final four. So this they could get a rematch of regardless of this result. But there's a lot of people think the 49ers would have beaten the Eagles if Brock Purdy didn't get injured in the second quarter of that game last year. So this is like a revenge game. I know Brock Purdy's looking at this as like he needs to exercise these demons. So he's going to play his best. They're definitely going to bring their A game. And hopefully my Eagles respond in kind. This is one of those games where regardless of the outcome, they're going to study this game because most likely they're going to play each other again. So it's hard to predict who's going to win. Obviously, I've got to take my Eagles here, but I don't think it's that. It could go either way. Whoever has the most turnovers, sorry, whoever forces the most turnovers, whoever has the highest INTs, you're probably going to lose this game. If you put the ball on the ground and it's a turnover, you might lose this game because it's gonna be close. It's gonna be close.
Yes, it will be.
Oh,
1 second.
yep. Let me just make a timestamp for this. 40. There we go.
Okay, so in terms of like the this game, I think it would have been interesting if the 49ers were hosting the game, but it turns out, excuse me, um that is being hosted by your Eagles.
Mm.
So it'll be at Lincoln, is it Lincoln Field?
Yep.
Yeah. So I think that it makes the Eagles slight favorites. I don't know what the line is or the betting odds are, but it makes the Eagles slight favorites, and the 49ers will come to play and they'll have Brock Purdy. The key thing is I hope what happened last year doesn't happen again, that Brock Purdy is able to stay healthy in the game and play the whole 60 minutes of football. And let's see where it goes. I think the Eagles will be out to prove a point that whether Purdy played or not last year, we still would have beaten you guys. So it's gonna be a tough matchup. Like you said, turnovers are gonna be key. Which offense or which team gives up less turnovers? Which receivers are gonna turn up on the day is gonna be a key one.
Mm.
Lately I haven't seen Darius Slay make splash play, so this will be a good game for him to sort of like reannounce himself that he's still. I'm not saying he's playing bad or anything, but I just haven't seen him like in the upper echelon like he was a year ago.
Mm.
So maybe this is one of the games whereby he starts running into form as you head into the postseason play. So it's gonna be a very interesting matchup as well. Also, um, will the two outside edge rushers, Chase Young and Bosa, have an influence on the game?
Mm.
Are they gonna wreak havoc on the game? But it might not be because also is Lane Johnson
Lane
still
Johnson's
doubtful
all
for
right.
your Eagles?
Yeah,
Because if he's out,
it's
that could be
hard.
a potential problem. But
Yep.
I trust your Eagles offense because you could have a good um milk the clock type game plan. But this should be a very interesting and exciting game. One that I'm looking forward to watching since my team played in the earlier part of the window. So it'll be a great game to watch. And I like the fact that they didn't put it as a Sunday night football, Monday night football. It
Yeah.
gives us across the pond to watch it in a good time instead of staying up late to watch it. So this is definitely going to be a good game. Looking forward to it. See which team comes up on top. It's going to be a preview of the NFC Championship game, potentially. And these two teams will meet again in the playoffs, potentially in the NFC Championship game. Um, so yeah, it's going to be a very interesting game.
No, perfect. Okay, good. So looking at like another game that's gonna be a hot one, I think is Texans Broncos. This is mainly because Texans have obviously shown that they are ahead of schedule in terms of their rebuild. Like they have their QB of the future there. They're just continuing to go to strength from strength to strength. And the Broncos, they've won the last five straight, you know, and they could make this a sixth. That's 6 wins in a row from a team that was horrendous last season. So I think
Mm-hmm.
this speaks a lot of Sean Payton and his effect. His job was to come in there and fix Russ, and I think that's more than well underway. I think it's happening right now, and it's some people will even say it has happened. Taking into account his age, this is whereabouts you'd expect him to be. The offense is coming along, defense is playing well. I mean, they managed to turn that around. That defense looked like it had no business being an NFL team 3 4 weeks back, but now it's actually serviceable. So something's happened in that team, and like I said, good coaching can transform your team. Just imagine though if he was at the LA Chargers. Oh my goodness. That team would have been insane, right? But that's neither here or there. You know, yeah, no, this is going to be an interesting game.
Yeah, definitely. Um, the Broncos Texans, very interesting game. Be interested to see if CJ can get back to form after the last game. Not that he played bad or anything in the previous game against the Jags, but they managed to be able to keep him quiet a bit. Very interesting game for two teams. Texans trying to make the playoffs. Broncos the same thing. Broncos be trying to make the playoffs after a very very horrendous, horrible start. Russell
Mm,
Wilson be going again. Well, right now playing the role of a game manager,
mm,
working for the team, not turn the ball over. Whilst the defense creates turnovers for the offense to make effective use of the points. Sean Payton has rebuilt the team with an effort of teamwork. He hasn't really expanded Russell Wilson's palette yet, but maybe that's the best way to go about it right now. Establish a
yep.
team, establish the culture, and then look to build upon that. So tremendous job by the Broncos. They've done an outstanding job going forward. So this game is going to be very interesting to see. Key to the game will be the secondary matchup. Will the Texans wide receivers, whose game has been elevated by CJ Stroud, continue to have an outstanding game against the Broncos, a very good Broncos secondary? I'm interested to see if Pat Satan will be on Tank Dell, the new rookie wide receiver sensation for the Texans. Will Pat Satan be able to um, lock down Tank Dell, or will Tank Dell have some success? So it's going to be a very interesting game.
Yeah, that's a good one because Tank Dell was a rookie, you know, and obviously Sartain's had some experience in the league, so it'll be really interesting to see. Tank Dell, though, man, that guy's dangerous, and it's really interesting. CJ specifically said, "I know you've got your eye on some other receivers. Draft this guy." You know, and
Mhm.
that was really good to see. He obviously understood. Sometimes it's not always about having the best receiver. It's about having the guy that you know can work with you. Like you understand his speed, you understand how he catches the ball, and it's the perfect fit for that QB. So Tank Dell is almost like the perfect fit for CJ Stroud and has helped him out exponentially. Right, and I think two more games quickly. Actually, no, one more game. We're looking at the Seahawks versus the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, what are your thoughts on this one, Pete?
My thoughts on this one is very simple. Can Dallas finally prove to us that they can beat a winning team? Because
Yep.
they beat up a bad teams very, 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 very badly. Blow them out, look fantastic, look great. Well, except the Cardinals, which they can't beat.
Mm,
Even when we are bad, we still find a way to beat Dallas. Um, but apart from that, can they rise up in this challenge against the Seahawks and come up with a win? And the Seahawks haven't played what the last couple of weeks or the last 2 weeks or so. So can they get back, bounce back, ride a ship again against the Cowboys? This could be a potential trap game for the Cowboys
mm,
because there's an opportunity here. Your Eagles are 10-1, Cowboys are 8-3. So you guys are, 2 games ahead of them. Say if the 49ers beat your Eagles and Cowboys manage to beat the Seahawks, it improves their position, whereby they're only 1 game behind you
mm,
as we head to this closing stage of the season for the division and for the potential number one seed in the NFC. So so both games sort of like has complications for each other.
mm,
The Cowboys, Seahawks, the 49ers, um, Eagles. So it's like an NFC West, NFC East matchup, which
mm.
has complications for division standings as well as playoff implications. That's why I love these 2 games because it's literally two teams, the two top teams in the NFC East versus the two top teams in the NFC West, and all 4 teams have playoff ambitions.
Yep.
All 4 teams that whichever team, if however the result will have an impact in the standings for all 4 teams. So it's one of them is one of those matchups whereby in just 2 games, these 4 teams can't afford to lose.
Yep.
But 2 of them will have to lose,
We'll have
and
to
we'll see
lose.
on
Yeah.
Sunday.
Someone's going home with an L. So yeah,
Unless
no.
there's ties all around. I
No,
don't think
no,
there's going to be ties all around.
that's not gonna happen. I would so love for Dallas to drop this game. Then you've got no excuses. I'd love to see what they're gonna say. They have no excuses if they're really about that. then they have to go in there and win. This has to be like a
Uh,
statement win as well. Cool, perfect. And I think we have the last game, actually, your Cardinals here, Steelers Cardinals. So I'm more interested in this game mainly because I want to see the Steelers revamped offense, or like offense with like a new sort of approach or a new fresh set of eyes. Obviously, Matt Canada is no longer there with the team, which means that they have a new offensive signal caller, not formally hired, but someone filling in the role. So it'll be good to see, because I think Kenny Pickett, a lot of people saying heading into next season, he's basically playing for his future. Kenny Pickett has been serviceable, but I'll be honest, Pete, I haven't seen any flashes from him. I haven't seen anything that makes you think, wow, you know, that's their guy. He can take over a game. I haven't seen that. I think I see someone who's consistent, who's has his ups and downs. Like if you ask me between Kenny Pickett and Brock Purdy, who I'm picking Purdy. you know, and that says a lot because Purdy is apparently a result of that system. You know, he fell into the right situation. So yeah, no, I'm just interested to see how the Steelers perform, and obviously I'll tune in as well to watch Kyler play because I think he's really good. But yeah,
I mean, for this game, yeah, what your points, what the point you're making is very valid. To see how the Steelers perform. I mean, I think the first game last week without Canada, they won 16-10. They had a lot of yards of offense, but the final score line is nothing to flat about because 16 points wasn't a lot. And the Bengals, if they had Joe Burrow, probably would have found a way to win the game because Burrow's much better at quarterback than his backup. Um, so this game will be interesting. I just want to see how Kyler will progress. Can he bounce back and have a much better game than the last 2 weeks? How he's gonna progress within the offense and going up against a Steelers team that have good pass rushers. In TJ Watt, and then I think that Alex Highsmith. That deal is a very good pass rushing deal. So our offensive line will have to play a little bit better.
cool, perfect. So heading towards the tail end of the show now. Obviously nominations for do you have a baller of the week? So one
Um,
player that's balled out.
yeah, I'll go to Jalen Hurts. Walk off winning overtime against the Bills. It's very hard to top as a quarterback. So I give him ball of the week. I don't have a specific player of the week though.
Yeah, neither do I. I think actually my Eagles game, Josh Allen kind of, I think they motioned, so they were right on our red zone. I think they motioned and he saw that our defense was in zone. And I remember watching that play almost in slow motion, and I saw two receivers that were open on the edges of the field outside of the hashes. He didn't go there. He threw into triple coverage. All right, and luckily, um, what's his name? I can't remember. Stephon Diggs was able to catch the ball literally the same moment he caught it. Three defenders tackled him at the same time. So this is a case of very dangerous. This is that thin line that Josh Allen walks on because he could have took two other passes that were wide open, but he went right down the middle, threw into triple coverage, and he's lucky he has a guy like Stephon Diggs there to sort of take that ball in. So yeah, that's probably my play of the week. Baller of the week, you know, I'll probably say Devontae Smith for my Eagles. Only because he's had a fairly quiet last few games, but this game he went crazy. The guy was eating 100%. So awesome game from him. So yeah, oh perfect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, but that's good. That's good. So yeah, that about sort of winds things up for week 12. We're now heading into week 13. Um, we'll get this podcast up in the next couple of days, and I'll probably see if I can work on some interesting sort of takes throughout the week. But yeah, no, 100%. It's going to be over and out from me. Um,
Over and out from P Dubs.
yeah, I will catch you guys next week or on the YouTube. But yeah, cheers. Thank you.
Thank you.